Good morning, students. Today we will be starting with a new unit, that is plant physiology, and you all have studied the topics under plant physiology in class 10 in quite detail. So with a few new things and new concepts that you will learn here, most of it is going to be what you have already studied in class 10. So today we will begin with the first chapter, transport in plants. Under plant physiology, the first chapter, transport in plants. Now, when we talk of transport, it means movement of substances from one place to another. And within a plant body, there is requirement of transport of water and minerals, then food that is prepared by the plant, and there are certain plant hormones, or we also call them plant growth regulators, that need to be transported. So the most important thing needed by the plant is water. Water, you know, is the principal constituent of almost all living beings, and when it comes to plants, the plant cells are made up of water, or the chief component or the principal component of living cells is water. Now, transport of water and the minerals dissolved in water takes place by xylem tissue, and the movement of water and minerals is unidirectional. When we say unidirectional, it means in one direction, that is, the movement of water and minerals is from the roots through the root hair and other cells of the root. Water is absorbed by the root hairs, and then it is transported through various cells to finally reach the xylem. And then this water and dissolved minerals is conducted upwards to the stem and to the leaves. So this is unidirectional movement of water. Then the water is used up by the leaves, food is synthesized, and the transport of food takes place via phloem tissue. Xylem and phloem are the vascular tissues of the plant, and this transport of food prepared by the leaves is multidirectional through the phloem, via the phloem. And by multidirectional, it is meant that it is transported from the leaves, where it is synthesized, to all other parts of the plant which require it. It goes to the roots, it goes to the storage organs, which can be stem, roots, or leaves, and it is utilized by the plant. So it moves in all directions. Then the transport of hormones, plant hormones, or we call them plant growth regulators, is unidirectional, that is, from the place where it is synthesized. Hormones are synthesized at one place, and their action or site of action is at a different place. So from the place where it is synthesized to the place where it is needed, where it is required. So these are the three different kinds of transport that take place in plants. Now, before I move on to the transport of water and we go into the different processes that are involved, let us just summarize what I have told you. Now, you know, a plant is made up of a root system, root and its branches. We have already studied the structure of the root and the stem, the internal structure. This is the stem. Then the branches, like this, and finally on the branches we have the leaves. So this is a basic plan of a plant. There is soil here, and in soil there is water. So the root hairs absorb water, it moves up through the xylem, from the xylem of the root to the xylem of the stem, to the branches, finally through the petiole. Petiole is the stalk of the leaf. It comes to the leaf, where it is going to be utilized by the leaf. And an important thing that you have to remember, that only 1% of the water is used up by the plant for processes like photosynthesis, whereas 99% of the water is lost by the plants. So basically the vascular tissue that the plant has is xylem and phloem. Now when we talk of xylem, the tissue xylem helps in the transport of water and minerals, and we say this movement is unidirectional. Unidirectional means from the root to the stem to the branches to the leaves. So unidirectional means from roots to stem and finally to the leaves, where most of the water is going to be lost by transpiration. Then we come to the next kind of vascular tissue, that is phloem. Phloem helps in the transport of food produced by the leaves to all other parts of the plant. So we say that the movement of food is multidirectional. It moves from the leaves to all other parts of the plant. Then the plant hormones, or we also call them plant growth regulators. The movement of these plant hormones is also unidirectional from where they are synthesized, that is the organs or parts where they are synthesized or produced, to other parts where they are required. And the movement of these substances through the vascular tissue is called translocation of substances. Translocation word is used to describe the movement of substances within the plant. Now, as I told you that water is an essential component of, I will erase this. Water is an essential component or the principal constituent of all living cells. Water is very essential for the survival of the plant. Water, and of the total water that is absorbed, only 1% of it is used up by the plant in processes like photosynthesis, whereas 99% of it is lost by the process of transpiration through the leaves. Main kind of transpiration we will be studying, and you have already studied, is stomatal transpiration, that is minute openings that are present on the surface of the leaves. Those openings are called stoma, surrounded by the guard cells, whereas through the epidermis, the cuticle layer that covers the epidermis, part of water is lost through the cuticle. We call it cuticular transpiration. Then the hard woody stems have permanent openings called lenticels. So part of water is even lost through the lenticels. We call it lenticular transpiration. So basically 99% of the water that is absorbed is lost by the plant, and only 1% of it is used in the various kinds of processes by the plant. Now we come to the next topic, that is importance of water. First, water is the principal constituent of all living cells. Then it is needed for various physiological activities that are taking place. Various physiological processes require water. It is a medium of all reactions going on in the body, or we can say it is an important reactant, because we will see in most of the reactions water is needed and water participates. Then water is a universal solvent. Almost everything dissolves in water, and that is how we can say importance of water, that it is a universal solvent. All the solutes, all the substances are dissolved in water, and we say that water is needed for the uptake and distribution of substances within the plant body. So all the substances, nutrients that are needed by the plant body are absorbed with water and are distributed throughout the plant. So water is very important. And basically, how does the plant take water? There are two basic mechanisms for absorption of water. One is called passive transport. The mechanisms for, we are talking about mechanisms of absorption of water. Two basic mechanisms of water. One is passive absorption. Passive absorption does not involve the use of energy, or we can see this, say the cell does not need energy for transporting water in a passive manner. It is not dependent on energy. Passive absorption is not dependent on energy. Energy is not used up. Energy is not used up by the cell. And passive absorption is simple diffusion of water or facilitated diffusion of water. So diffusion and facilitated diffusion are two kinds of passive absorption which does not require energy. As the word itself indicates, active absorption is absorption of water which is dependent on energy. It is an energy dependent reaction or energy dependent process, and the cell spends energy, or energy is spent in the absorption of water actively. Now we come to the next process, that is we are going to talk about diffusion. You have studied about diffusion, you may be remembering it. And what is diffusion? How do we define diffusion? We say diffusion is the movement of substances from a region of their higher concentration to a region of their lower concentration, and this does not require a separating membrane also. But when we talk of plants, the cell membrane is a separating membrane between two different regions. So presence or absence of membrane does not make much of a difference. Diffusion means movement of substances from a region of their higher concentration to a region of their lower concentration, and it is a passive method, or it is a passive process in which energy is not required. And this process of diffusion will continue unless the two areas of different concentration become equal, or we say there is uniform distribution of substances, or the substances are evenly distributed in the two regions of different concentration. And the diffusion rate is dependent on temperature, on pressure, on the gradient of concentration, and also on the permeability of the membrane that separates the two regions. In a living system, there will be a cell membrane, so it depends on the permeability of the membrane that separates the two regions of different concentration. We know the cell wall is fully permeable in nature, whereas the cell membrane is a semi-permeable membrane or a differentially permeable membrane, and it does not allow the passage of everything through it. So that is why we say semi-permeable in nature. Now, facilitated diffusion. Facilitated diffusion means where diffusion is helped. The process of diffusion takes place with the help of certain carriers, and these are porins and aquaporins. Porins are present in cell organelles like mitochondria, in chloroplast, and they help in the transport of substances across the cell membranes, whereas aquaporins are water channels. So facilitated diffusion takes place through these channels, porins and aquaporins. Aquaporins, as I told you, are water channels, and porins are channels or molecules, special protein molecules that are present in the cell membranes for transport of substances through it. Then when we come to active absorption is dependent on energy, that is ATP by the cell is used. ATP is used for transport of substances, and this can be of three main kinds. One is called symport, that is symport means when through the cell membrane, suppose this is the cell membrane, hydrophobic ends are inside and the hydrophilic ends are there, and symport means when two substances or more than two molecules move in one direction. Suppose this is the outside of the cell and this is the inside of the cell, and this is the membrane, this is the cell membrane. So when two or more than two molecules move in one direction, it is called symport. And suppose this is cell membrane, and when one moves inside and the other moves outside, we call it antiport. And when only one moves inside, it is called uniport. And this involves use of energy by the cell, so we say it is active absorption. Active absorption because energy, ATP is spent, it is an energy dependent reaction. So again, why energy is needed? Because it moves against the concentration gradient. That is, from a region of lower concentration to a region of higher concentration. That is why here energy is needed. So this is about active and passive transport. Now we come to the next topic, that is plant-water relations. We are going to talk about plant-water relations. Now, when we talk of plant-water relations, basically there are 5 main processes that are involved in the movement of water within the plant. One is water potential. The various phenomena that help in the movement of water in a plant is water potential. Very important. We will be talking about this. Water potential is very important in the movement of water within the plant cells. Then osmosis. Then osmotic pressure and osmotic potential. You have studied about all these in class 10, and once you revise, it will be very clear to you. Then turgor pressure and wall pressure. Then the phenomena of plasmolysis, phenomena of imbibition and wilting. So these are a few processes, certain phenomena that take place in the plant for movement of water within the plant. Now coming to all this, you have studied in class 10, so revise from your class 10 book, or it is given in your book, but you just have to have a brief idea about these processes because you have already learnt about them earlier. Now coming to water potential, you know that free energy or kinetic energy is the ability or potential to do work, and the kinetic energy of water is referred as water potential. Kinetic energy of water is referred as water potential. And water potential of pure water. Water potential of pure water is considered to be 0. Is considered to be a 0. And when solutes are dissolved in water, pure water plus solutes dissolved in water, that is, a solution is formed, what will happen? Pure water is 0 and solutes are going to be dissolved, then the water potential becomes negative. It reduces, and below 0 it becomes negative. So we say that the greater the concentration of water in a system, the greater is its kinetic energy or water potential. It is regarded as the tendency, water potential is regarded as the tendency of water to leave a system, and water always moves from a region of its higher concentration to a region of its lower concentration, or we can say from a region of higher water potential to a region of lower water potential. So And this water potential is represented by the Greek symbol psi. This is how we represent water potential. And water potential psi is equal to the matrix potential, the solute potential, and the hydrostatic pressure. These three things make up the water potential. And basically this matrix potential is considered to be negligible. Why negligible? I will tell you 1 minute. So we say that water potential is equal to solute potential plus the hydrostatic pressure, which is generally equal to the wall pressure. And matrix potential is known as imbibitional pressure, and it is considered to be negligible. So water moves from a region of higher water potential to a region of lower water potential, and it is measured in pascals. The unit of water potential is pascals or bars, and we say that 1 bar is equal to 1 atmospheric pressure. So I will just read out about water potential. Free or kinetic energy represents the potential to do work. The kinetic energy of water is referred as water potential. The greater the concentration of water in a system, the greater is its kinetic energy or water potential. Water potential is regarded as the tendency of the water to leave a system. Water always moves from a region of higher water potential to one of lower water potential. Water potential is represented by the Greek symbol psi, and it is measured in pascals or bars, and 1 bar is equal to 1 atmospheric pressure. Now by convention, at atmospheric pressure, the water potential of pure water is taken to be 0. If some solute is dissolved in pure water, the solution will have fewer water molecules, and so the concentration of water decreases and thereby reducing the water potential. Hence, all solutions at atmospheric pressure have lower water potential than water, and that is, it means it has a negative value. And water always moves from a higher potential to a region of lower water potential. Water potential is referred to as the difference between the free energy of water in a cell and that of pure water at atmospheric pressure. Water moves from higher free energy to lower free energy. Now, I hope you have understood what is water potential, because we will see that water moves in a plant on the basis of water potential. Now, if the diagram that I had drawn earlier, now this is the root, these are soil particles, water is present here. Water has minerals dissolved in it and we call them solutes. Now the concentration of the cell sap is much more than the surrounding water. In the cells of the root, we will see that the concentration of the cell sap is higher as compared to water with dissolved minerals outside the root. And when we say concentration of cell sap is higher, means water is less inside the cells and water is more outside. So water from outside will move into the root through the cells, because water moves from where it is at a higher water potential to where it is at a lower water potential. So the direction of movement, water will be from outside to inside. So basically now, so we have completed with the various mechanisms in which water is absorbed by the plants, that is diffusion and active absorption, and done the water plant relations, and we will continue with absorption and transport of water on the next turn. Take care. Good luck to all of you.